Boy, where to start? It's obviously a challenging day for us out there from the get-go, with a late start with scheduled with the television windows and where we were at, and knowing we had weather coming in. Adjusting the start time to begin with was the first step, but then it followed through with some of the more difficult calls you ever have to make from a race control point of view, and that's when you get indecisiveness in terms of what the weather's doing on the racetrack and whether you have a safe condition to continue racing on the racetrack. I mean, it'd be one thing if it rained hard. Your decision's a pretty easy one to make, but when you get calls from track safety and observer poster on the racetrack that report light moisture, the tough decision is to make that call whether you continue with the event or not. And that's always been the most difficult and challenging thing, because no matter what, our number one priority in every decision we make is safety. And when you're responsible for the safety of those 26 drivers out there, every time you go and give them a track condition, they're counting on you to make the right decision. Obviously, towards the end of that race with the attempted restart, we made the wrong one. That's one of those things that just makes you feel sick to your stomach when you do it, because you know after the fact, of course, that you chose poorly. And more often than not, we certainly make the right calls, but like I said, when you kind of get those in-between moisture calls out there, and we had, based on the information that was given to us, that the track was in a position to go, we're trying to do, we actually had done something prior to that restart. It was the first time we'd done it. We moved all the lead lap cars up to the front so that we had the lap traffic out of the way, trying to do the double file restart with the lap traffic in the back and give everybody a real good shootout and a green flag finish. Obviously, you want to make the effort that you can for the fans on television and the ones that are in the grandstands here, but you can't do that at the expense of safety. And like I said, as soon as you had the guys stand on the gas out there, you saw right away that it was the wrong decision to make. So at that point in time, you just kind of sick to your stomach and realize that it was an error on race control standpoint, and clearly my fault.
We'll take a couple questions. Mike Vega.
Brian, Mike Vega, Boston Globe. To that point, when you made that call, had there been any objections over the decision to go green from anybody in the pits?
No, we hadn't received anything from pit tech guys. You know, the pit techs are assigned, they get 2 cars within the pits, and up in race control, we never had a single call from a pit tech. Now, we also have observers we also have spotters and officials up on the roof, and the official up on the roof had called that there was light moisture up there, and some of the spotters had said they think it's too wet to continue. But we had not received any objections from any of the pit techs, from any that were assigned to the cars on the racetrack, saying the driver of the 59 or the driver of the 5 or the driver of the 7 vehemently objects and says it's too wet to go. We didn't have anybody saying that. So combined with the lack of information from people saying we shouldn't go, combined with all of our track safety people saying we should go, and all the observers around say the track is still raceable and going, you make the decision based on that information. And like I say, clearly it was the wrong one to make.
It seems like everyone, though, there was some unanimity on the pit roads. Everyone was objecting at that point, and we had some owners come out and make some strong statements to that effect. But just to clarify, those objections, are they made from the pit box to the pit tech, then to you?
Correct, yeah. Okay. And like I say, up in race control, we hadn't had it. In fact, you know, we got Johnny Rutherford out there driving around in the pace car. And Johnny at that point in time hadn't relayed either that it was a bad decision to go at that point in time. So, you know, it's a fine line. I mean, I have so much respect for the people that work for us, the observers that are around the racetrack, and the track safety guys and everybody out there. I think Ryan said it best, Ryan Hunter-Ray, when he was talking on one of the TV interviews. I don't think people really understand how little water it takes, or how little the moisture it takes to have an adverse effect on the ability of these cars to perform. And it's one of those things when it's kind of a tweener, when it's not raining and it's not dry, it doesn't take a lot to get them to haze the tires, get wheel spin, and with the stagger turn them around. And you know, you look at how far out of the corner Danica was and going straight, it shouldn't be in a position when you put the power down that you lose control. So as soon as you make that call and see that result, you realize that it wasn't a good one.
Brian, Will Power had a pretty monumental meltdown with some gestures toward race control. I mean, Obviously, is that something you're going to review, and can we expect to see any type of punishment?
Obviously, we'll review it. It's secondary, in my opinion, to what happened out there. As I said earlier, when you're sitting in the position that I'm in and you feel responsible for the safety of 26 competitors out there, first and foremost, when you make a decision, they're trusting you to make the right decision. And when you've made the wrong one and it exposes them to a safety risk factor, no one feels worse about it than I do. You know, secondary to that comes the fact that you tore up some race cars and spent some money that you shouldn't have done. But clearly, anytime you've wrecked a race car, then you've exposed that driver of that car to a health and safety risk. And when it's an unnecessary one, you feel like crap. I mean, I don't think people really understand how you feel from a race control point of view when you are charged with the responsibility and entrusted by these guys that I'm telling you it's good to go. It's good to go. Conversely, when you're up in an enclosed room and a glass in there and you're not outside and you don't know and you're counting on information from other people, it can kind of put you in a catch-22 position, and you're counting a lot of good information. Like I said, I have great trust and respect for the people that we have out there, and you know, it's just one of those situations that bit us at the end there. And